Hi, my name is Webster Tileston. I'm an audio engineer based here in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been working in the music community here for just over a decade. I moved here initially in 2010 to pursue a degree in audio engineering technology at Belmont University. While I was there, I had the opportunity to study under some really incredible people, including Bill Vorndick and Joe Baldridge, as well as the opportunity to use some really world-class facilities, such as RCA Studio B, the Quonset Hut, and also Ocean Way, Nashville on Music Row. Upon graduating, I had the opportunity to go on tour with Chris Isaak as an audio tech, where I really kind of got to cut my teeth as a touring engineer, doing all sorts of things from loading in and loading out, to mixing the opening acts and just being a general tour support person. When I came back, I started to Nashville. I started to get into kind of a myriad of things of working with different artists, both in the studio and out, whether that was mixing or tracking, editing, or doing tour support on albums, EPs, and singles. My interest in music began from a young age. I can remember back to when I was probably 3 on vacation listening to music on my dad's Discman. A lot of the experiences that I had with music stemmed from him. He is a drummer, and growing up, he was always listening to different types of music, ranging from jazz to rock to R&B and blues and different things in that area. Just with all of those different genres, it kind of gave me a really wide gamut of experience to kind of draw musical interest from. And I think that's why now today I am so interested in so many different genres that are spanning across all of those things. I think the more that I got into those genres as a kid, the more I started realizing how much they transferred into modern popular music, and how everything is kind of playing off of each other in one way or another. The artists I can remember growing up listening to were, they ranged from anyone from Count Basie to Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong and Miles Davis, to somebody like Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder, to the Doobie Brothers in Chicago. They were all just as different as they are. They all had different similarities within them, and I was always fascinated by the sounds that they got and how they achieved them, and then how they were put together, honestly. I think a lot of that's why I've gravitated to the music industry as an audio engineer, is kind of that fascination with how things are captured and preserved and put together to make kind of an experience and kind of preserve an experience for the listener. As far as studios and engineers that I grew up kind of looking up to, I had kind of an interesting upbringing for my education in audio engineering. I started so young that in a lot of ways I didn't even really know where to look. So a lot of my early years of learning about audio engineering was done simply by trial and error. I didn't really have a specific engineer or studio that I looked up to or really based anything off of. I think for the most part I was basing it off of all the musical influences and albums and songs that I'd listened to over the years. I kind of looked at them as like, this is what it's supposed to be. So how do I get it there? And it kind of almost in like a constant A/B state of listening to something that I'd worked on and been like, that's not quite it yet, and just kind of going over and over and over again. Fast forwarding to now, the past decade, obviously that's changed. I've had plenty of different experiences with studios all across the U.S. and with different artists and musicians. And there's definitely some people that I have had the incredible opportunity to not only know and work with, but to look up to and learn from. And now even with the internet and the way that things are, it's so easy to get access to people that are, I mean, at the top of the game and learning from. Having the opportunity to study at Belmont and learn from Bill Vorndick and Joe Baldridge and Russ Long was huge. The ability to talk with these guys that have worked on people like Bella Fleck and the Flecktones and Taylor Swift, it's just priceless, and learning from them. I originally got into studio recording because I was a drummer and wanted to capture some of the sounds that I was playing. As I got older and started kind of expanding beyond just capturing my own performance, and actually got away from even performing for the most part on my own, working with different artists, the Neumann name was just always synonymous with quality. I had the rare opportunity to just have really, really incredible facilities and gear selections to choose from, just over the past more than a decade at this point. And really got to have my hands on some of the most incredible Neumann products that Neumann has made, ranging from U47s and 48s to U67s, vintage U87s, KM84s, KM86s. So it's kind of just been ingrained in me slowly over the time of me working in this industry, of just the high quality and expectation that the Neumann name carries. For the past year, I've been delving into the world of immersive audio. At the end of 2019, I had the opportunity to hear a Dolby Atmos studio, and going into 2020, really started to explore what that format could bring to the table in the music industry. The farther that I got into understanding about it, the more I started to understand how flexible and robust the format was, and how much it could bring to the table, that is. First and foremost, the biggest thing that caught me off guard was just how immersive it actually was. As a listener, you're placed into this real 3D space. You're given this kind of world that you can get lost in. And it really presents me as an audio engineer and a mixing engineer with a completely new palette and larger world to kind of create within. But the things past that are really just so cool is how flexible it is from a delivery format. The ability that I can mix in this format in my studio now in Access Audio, that's a 7.1.4 monitoring layout, and I can deliver that to an artist. I can deliver it to a label, and they can decide what the playback format is. They can listen to my mix in stereo. They can listen to it in 5.1. They can listen to it in quad. They can listen to it in the same format I'm listening to it in, and something even larger, maybe even in like a theater. And they can do that without having to have me involved. It will translate to all of those different playback systems, and give them as close of the original intention as possible. And realistically, it does a very, very good job of that. The only thing that's missing is just the extra speakers. The mix stays extremely consistent from format to format of what your playback is. And that immediately struck me as just a really, really big deal. It's becoming this format that is almost future-proofing. The ability that now you can deliver it, and whether the artist needs it in stereo now, we can come back to it in 5 years and take a 5.1 mix from it or a 7.1 mix from it without having to spend more money to do it. Those were all really exciting things about it. Delving into the world of Dolby Atmos and immersive audio has caused a pretty significant shift in my mixing workflow. While in the past I was utilizing outboard gear to achieve things like bus compression, now my process has almost completely been put in the box. Thankfully, there are plugin manufacturers that have been building plugins that interact with these immersive formats. Some of the most exciting plugins that I've discovered since getting into Dolby Atmos have been immersive reverbs. Isotope makes a couple of them when they're the exponential audio reverbs, the Symphony 3D reverb and the Stratus 3D reverb. Upon using those, I was immediately struck by just how realistic they were. Where using a stereo reverb in something like Dolby Atmos can be kind of challenging just because it's built for two speakers, it's built for a stereo output. It's really hard to spread that and make it feel as enveloping in a format that's so large with so many different things going on. Something like the immersive verbs that are from Isotope are capable of kind of doing all of that back end work for me. I'm not stuck trying to figure out how to place a verb or where to put it. Now this verb is physically capable of creating a three-dimensional space around me. And I can place an object within it. So whether that is a hall, whether it's a plate, whether it's a slap reverb, whether it's a spring, or even just a studio, I can bring that up really quickly and trust that it's going to give me something that is just really incredible, really lush, really smooth, and really accurate. I think the only reverbs that I've really ever heard that have come close to the same kind of feeling that I get from using these verbs are Bricastes. And the fact that I can now use that in the box, I'm able to do that and have as many instances as I want is really, truly incredible. I was first introduced to the Neumann KH line by Mike Mansour, who is now my business partner. In about 2015, he and I both ended up moving to the KH line. He ended up upgrading his mastering facility to a pair of the Neumann KH 420s, and I ended up purchasing a pair of the KH 120s for my personal space and use. With how much time I was spending traveling, the 120s just made a lot of sense for something that was compact and also portable. The 120s were perfect in that sense. They're small, they have a large frequency response, they go extremely low for a 5-inch woofer. And then the other thing that was just a great selling factor for me was the fact that I could buy a road case that was designed for them right off the bat. So, I mean, for the past 5-6 years, I've traveled with them on the road pretty extensively and have used them in every sort of environment, from a tuned studio to a hotel room, doing mixes when I need to while I'm not home. Immediately with the KH line, I've always kind of had this knowledge that changes that I am going to be making or need to make as a mix engineer or mastering, on the mastering side of things, mastering engineer, those changes would translate, that I could trust any changes I was going to be making. Fast forward to today, and now I am in a 7.1.4 facility that's built around the Dolby Atmos specification and is completely outfitted with the KH line. Now I have more taken a step back from the touring side of things, so my 120s are now integrated into the 714 rig. So we have 3 Neumann KH 420s for the LCR, each paired with a Neumann KH 870 sub, effectively turning them into 4-way boxes. Then 4 Neumann KH 310s for the surrounds, and another 4 KH 120s for the top ceiling speakers. The experience has been nothing short of stunning. The frequency response that we're able to achieve in this room goes down to 14 hertz. The top end extends well into the 20K and above range, and everything in between is just extremely smooth. The imaging that we get is incredible, and I think a lot of that has to do with the mid-range design that Neumann has taken with their dome mid-range. It just has this clarity and smooth factor that is just incredible. Where I normally feel like I'm kind of fighting mid-range, it just opens up the image of everything that I'm working on in a really pleasant way.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos just like this.